Good morning, all you amazing folks. I have just got done doing a workout. And let me tell you, if the camera shakes just a little bit, that's because I have this sitting on the sofa right here by my family. The reason is because today's daily reflection is not only for people in Alcoholics Anonymous, but it's for anyone out there who is suffering from shame and guilt about all the crap that happened while they were drinking or using. In my time as an active alcoholic, I probably destroyed, I can't even count, 100 lives, maybe more. And simply because of my selfish acts from having to get my drink and having to get certain things in my life to suit me and only me and nobody else. If you can relate to that, continue watching this video because this is going to help you out a lot if you are suffering from shame, guilt, resentments, trying to hold on to the past, trying to change the past, whatever your situation is. Today's daily reflection for 14 January 2021. No regrets. Let's go, people. All right, put on your listening earmuffs. It's time to figure out whether you are suffering from a bunch of regret or if you are able to shape your future and present the way that is healthy. Let's go. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. Alcoholics Anonymous, page 83. Once I became sober, I began to see how wasteful my life had been, and I experienced overwhelming guilt and feelings of regret. The program's 4th and 5th steps assisted me enormously in healing those troubling regrets. I learned that my self-centeredness and dishonesty stemmed largely from my drinking and that I had drank because I was an alcoholic. Now I see how even my most distasteful past experiences can turn into gold because, as a sober alcoholic, I can share them to help my fellow alcoholics, particularly newcomers. Sober for several years in Alcoholics Anonymous, I no longer regret the past. I am simply grateful to be conscious of God's love and of help I can give to others in the fellowship. That's some deep craving, people. I'm going to tell you straight up, if you're in Alcoholics Anonymous or not, if you are a God believer or not a God believer, this is 100% applicable to your life, regardless of who you are, where you come from, what you've done. This will help you. The reason is because when I was an active alcoholic, and this is just one of the points that I'll make, because there's a whole lot that went into what shaped my past and everything else. And that's for another video. And also you can find those videos right above. I'll put the card right there. Check them out. Here's one scenario. And this is where my family and everything else came into play. I had been going to the Army Substance Abuse program for probably 3 years. And that's 2 years longer than you're supposed to be there. I had transferred from one installation to the next. Here's where the problem started. When I got out of rehab, not even two days later, I was drinking again. And do you want to know why? Because I'm an alcoholic. And that's not an excuse, folks. That's what I suffer from. That's my disease. But the reason I started drinking again and what kind of played into the whole given to the craving part was I was full of regret and full of shame about all the things that I did while I was in my drunken states and all of the empty texts that I had to answer when I woke up and all of the people who were dismissing me away from their lives simply because I jacked theirs up and I didn't even remember it. Particularly my wife and son. Now in rehab, they had come back briefly and they had, we started to try to rebuild, but my wife was still holding me to a lot of the stuff that I did while I was drinking in ways that were kind of like sharp, like Tic Tacs, man. She would point out the fact that, if we were a little low in the bank, she'd ask me, "Are you drinking again?" And I'd be like, "No. I mean, why would I go back to that after suffering through all this and putting you through all that?" Those kind of sharp comments put me way back down in the totem pole because I thought that I was still worthless. My son didn't believe the promises that I was making, and he felt that they were empty. That's because I made 1,000,000 of them when I was drinking, and none of them meant anything. Did I mean them at the very moment that I made them? Of course I did. My intentions were pure. But my alcoholism won. I blamed everything from my childhood on the reasons that I drank. I blamed my wife why I drank. I blamed the fact that my son didn't love me on why I drank. It didn't occur to my alcoholic mind that I was simply an alcoholic. And that's not to make excuses again, and that's why I drank, because that's how I dealt with my problems. That was my solver, and that was the solution that I knew. I will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. That's where I'm at right now, folks. All these things happened in my past, and I'm going to go back to the actual point of all this in just a second. And I caused a lot of wreckage, and I caused a lot of disruption in my life and other people's life, and I almost killed myself quite a few times. So I regret all of that. However, I am no longer guilty of it, and I'm no longer shameful of it, which is how I can share it with you, because I know for a simple fact that those are the things that shaped me and made me get to the point where I'm at today. And I wouldn't give that up for anything. Now, back to, if you understand that, drop your comment below so someone can get some of that. Back to the point of all this. So when I had switched the Army substance abuse programs, right, I thought I had fooled the one counselor into believing that I was A-okay and that I wasn't drinking and that life was cool and that he could trust me to go about and do what I needed to do. I feel really bad about lying to this guy, but I can't really dwell in that past. I can only try to help change that, which I'll throw it out there right now. Rick Gross, I'm sorry for duping you over, man. I know you saw through me, and this is how I'm going to repay you, bro. So I thought that it was okay, and I didn't know that he was making notes about how everything was not going in my life that I said it was. And so he passed that on to the next counselor, and her name was Sheila Albers, and Sheila Albers was an amazing human being. Why? Because she was suffering her own daggone problems, and she put those aside to deal with me. And you know what? I know she dealt with a lot of folks, but she made me feel like I was important. For a long time, I thought I had her fooled, and I was drinking this whole time, folks, and that is not anything to be proud of, but that's what it was. But I was drinking over Antabuse, and that's a whole nother video as well. And that's not an official name of the drug, but it's supposed to, actually it does, suppress the alcohol from going into your system and induce vomiting and everything else. And I'm going to tell you right now, it works. I tried to drink over it and I almost killed myself. So don't do that, folks. Anyway, so I thought I had her, completely fooled, and that I was talking to the groups that we had, and I was sharing my experience, strength, and hope with them. And, for the longest time, I was using I statements. So I was reflecting inward, and I know that is what you're supposed to do in counseling. So, I thought I had her fooled. She would always look me in the eye, though, to really look deep into my soul and know that I'm telling the truth or not. Well, I thought I had her fooled, folks. And this is where, I can either completely stand on the regret of this or be in the shame of it and everything else, or I can identify it, learn from the mistakes that I made in the past, and I can move on and apply that to my sobriety, which is what I do. So the rest of that quick story is, so I thought I had her fooled, and I had her fooled for probably, 6-7 months. And then came this, blood test. And this blood test was to test the carbon dioxide deficiency test. I think that's what it is. And that's some enzymes in your blood and everything else. And if they're elevated, it shows that you've been using a substance. Now, I didn't know that at the time because I thought I was a slick alcoholic and I could get away with it. So I was drinking over this antabuse, and I was drinking over naltrexone, and I was drinking on this blood test that I didn't know existed, and I didn't know what it was for. Here I am in the groups and everything else, and the way she noticed is my language started to change. My language started to change to you should, or you could, or you would, instead of I am, I did, I should. And that's how she picked up on it. So she said, let me take a look at this blood test. And that's what I think she meant. So she did. And she called me into her office, and, we had a talk about the elevation in it. And she said, well, maybe it's just, your body getting rid of the alcohol, and maybe the antabuse is disrupting the test and everything else. So I'm going to give you another shot, man. So she did. I went on vacation and everything else, and I drank the whole time, and I thought I was good and all this other jazz. And then when I came back, I was supposed to be released from that program. Well, Sheila, being the awesome, amazing woman that she was willing to release me because of the progress that I had made in the program. I know this is a long story, folks, but it has a great point, so pay attention. And there we were. I had my first sergeant with me, and if you're not in the Army, that's the head dude. And I had my NCO with me. That means that she was the head dude in my platoon. Anyway, so they were all there, and I was being released and everything else. She's signing the discharge paperwork, and there was one more signature to make, but there was a piece of paper laying under the discharge paperwork. And she glanced down, and she goes, And it was dead silent in that room. It was dead silent, folks. And she looked at me, and she said, and I quote, "Tell me again you're not fucking drinking." And I was like, whoosh. Everything melted, and I felt all the eyes on me, folks. And I felt stupid as hell and alone. And I said, "Sheila, I've been drinking this whole time." And it was right there that I knew everything was over. Everything was gone. My family was gone. My money was gone. My retirement was gone. All of it gone in that very moment. And my credibility as well was gone. And she said, "You know what? Get out of my office." And, I've never seen her that angry. And she said, "Get out of my office and I'll call you." And I was like, damn. I don't think that went well. It was the first time in my whole life, my entire life, no crap, folks, my entire life, that I felt shameful. Everything that else that I had done to this point, I did not feel any shame over. I duped over people. I borrowed money. I stole money. I lied all the time. I cheated on people. I did everything you could think of, to include being a bad father, and I didn't feel a fucking thing about it. Excuse my language, I'll bleep that out. And here's where it turned for me, folks, is that I felt the first time in my life that I let somebody down. And this is almost bringing a tear to my eye, by the way. And I didn't know what to do, and I didn't care that all that crap was about to be gone. What I cared about was her, because I let her down after she invested so many times in me, so much time, so much effort, so much compassion. She put her job on the line for me because she was not supposed to let me stay in this program that first time that I failed that test. But she did. She went to bat for me, and she did. And Jose Porres, he was my first sergeant. He went to bat for me. He went to bat for me at the NCO Academy. And I appreciate that, Jose Porres, if you ever see this. And all these folks who I thought didn't give a F about me put their time and effort into actually vouching for me and making me be able to have what I have today. And I am completely grateful that, and I will forever be in debt to those people. And this is the way I repay it, folks, by giving it back to you guys through my experience, strength, and hope. Now, after all that shame and regret, I never even got to, I got to go back to to the course and everything else. She gave me another shot, the last shot, and along with Jose Porres, and I stayed sober from that day period because I went to Alcoholics Anonymous, and that's not your thing, folks. I got it. It's not for everybody. And as a matter of fact, somebody on Facebook told me I shouldn't be using this literature in order to share with you guys. And the reason they said that is for my political gain. Hey, folks, there is zero political gain here. I'm not in politics, one. I'm not making money off of YouTube, another. And this is for you guys, folks. This has nothing to do with me. I could care less about my ratings and my standings and everything else. I care about you, and I cared about Sheila Albers, and I still do. And, you know, to this day, I don't regret what happened. I do, however, feel that if she ever sees this, I wish to make direct amends to her. And if she does see it, drop me a DM at Instagram, Twitter, or Reddit, and I'm going to definitely hit you up. And perhaps you could come on and tell that story yourself the way you saw it, because I think that's invaluable to folks on this channel. I no longer regret the past. I'm simply grateful to be conscious of God's love and the help that I can give to others in the fellowship. And that's where this all leads. Fellowship is you guys, folks, and fellowship is the people in Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and everybody out there. I don't regret the past. It shaped me to where I am right now. And I am genuinely happy with how my life is, and I'm genuinely happy with being able to share with you guys. And, you know, I am grateful for life, for my higher power looking out for me, and putting that through Sheila Albers and Jose Perez. And my life has, and Rick Gross, don't let me forget about you. And my life has evolved completely, and it is shaped to a point where there's not even words to explain it, folks. And that is today's daily reflection, no regrets. And if you have any comments that you'd like to drop them below. And if you relate to the information that I put out here, not information really, to the story that I put out, drop that as well, folks. I look forward to seeing you now. Whoa. Don't go anywhere, people. Don't go anywhere. Ready? Here we go. Sober is the new cool. She is on Instagram at Sober is the new cool. She is amazing and just hit 8 years, folks. 8 years of living in sobriety. That means she's 8 years old, not 60. Anyway, so she's making sobriety look amazing. She wears 60 so well. Look her up and follow her on Instagram at Sober is the new cool. She's an amazing person with an amazing story, and you could learn a lot from her as well as share your experiences with her too. Ashley Kessner is awesome, man. She is Free Your Ghost. She's on a lot of things. She's on Twitter. She's on Facebook. She's on Instagram. She also has a podcast and now is a certified recovery coach, folks. If you need some help and additional assistance, especially Emily, Amley. I'm not going to say your last name because I don't want to put that out there. 24 years old, was drinking since 16. That's 8 years of heavy drinking, folks. If you need some help and you want to reach out to Ashley Kessner, look her up. She is now a certified recovery coach, and she can help you out directly instead of you having to wait, since you don't have a car. And if you don't have a car and you want to go to AA, hit up some folks on AA.org. I drop that in the description every video, and someone will give you a ride. I guarantee it. I know how Alcoholics Anonymous works, and we're not going to let you hang out by a thread. Life is a garden, folks. Dig it. Guess what? If this video has been any value for you, give a like to this and subscribe if you haven't done so. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of these videos in Daily Reflections or Journey with me. I appreciate all the support, folks. I love you. Life's a garden. Dig it. I'll see you in the next one.